Unfortunately, no two cars are the same, and sadly, many cars leave people with massive depreciation, many trips to the service shop, and generally just break the bank. And I'm here to share a list of 10 of the worst junk cars to avoid because they'll cost you big time. Let's get into it now.
Life's too short to drive boring cars.
The first one on our list is a trash bag of a car that you definitely don't want to buy, and here's why. Here we clearly have a Chevy right here. Basically have grills that fall apart, very fragile, doesn't take much to smash those out. We also have other plastics below that tend to fall apart. We have body panels that don't align all that well. We definitely have a sunroof, which is kind of nice, so it makes you feel fresh. But the interior is very, very bland and basic. That's a rental car special. And a very basic set of trim on the back there as well. What we're looking at here is an LT long tail like the McLarens say, and it's a Chevy, but this is the Cruze. The Chevy Cruze isn't one that you're going to be cruising too far because they're constantly breaking down. Electric problems, we also know that transmissions have been a big issue with a lot of Chevy GM products. This one's definitely no different. But the big one here happens to be door sag. I rented one of these a few years ago in Las Vegas, and when I went to open the door sort of dropped a quarter inch. It feels like the chassis is a little bit flimsy, but more importantly yet, other than all of that, is the fact that the engines tend to blow apart. There's oil leaks, coolant leaks are some problem areas that you have to be aware of, but the big thing is piston detonation. That's right, holes in piston resulting in smoke out the tailpipe. Not a well-built car. Entry-level price point car for sure, but there's many other great choices. If you're looking for something a little bit more reliable, a little more robust, clearly buy yourself a Honda Civic. Another vehicle that's likely going to leave you in the poorhouse unless you're a great DIYer or you're a strong enthusiast and you know exactly what you're getting into. If you're just one of these people that are looking for a cute little rig like this and you just want to get into something that's fun and you know nothing about cars, this is not the car for you. Let's talk about what we're looking at here. Well, clearly we're looking at a BMW Mini. Yes, that's right. This newer generations of the Mini is owned and operated by BMW. A lot of the parts are by BMW. The quality headlights are by BMW, the decals are by BMW, the bumpers and the fittings, and even the engine is built and created by BMW. Of course, we do have some great details like that. Look at some of the amazing touches. Look at those round retro mirrors. The interior is full of retro parts, the seats are well bolstered, and it can be a very sporting driving experience, especially with the manual gearbox. Sunroof space on top, and I definitely will admit, this car is chocked full of character. So with all this character, including taillights retro there and Cooper brand name, as well as pea shooter exhaust like this, what's not to love about these cars, and why would this be a regretful car? Well, firstly, I'll start by saying the latest and the newest generations are always going to be the most reliable versions of any BMW, and that goes as well for Minis. The earlier Prince engines, lots of problems. If we talk about some of the earlier transmissions, they were sloppy, they were weak. Unless you went with the manual, that was always the way to go. Some of the smaller, earlier three-cylinder engines, not the greatest. We have coolant leaks. There's definitely timing chain problems with a lot of the earlier generation engines, and I would definitely suggest that you do a strong PPI, a pre-purchase inspection, if you're ever even going to think about buying one of these. But let me just forewarn you, enthusiasts love these, and I see why. They have quite a special personality to them, and there's nothing else like it. So if you need to have it, I get it. But for people looking for that cute little car, this is not the car. Because remember, you think it's a small economical car. No, this is actually wrapped in luxury car skins. That's right, all the parts and pieces, all the widgets and the components and the electrics and modules are all based on BMW dollars. So you're paying premium money, and you're also going to pay premium money at the service shop, which likely means you're going to head off to the poorhouse in a hurry. The BMW Mini, definitely one that needs to make this list. And another one moving up the luxury car ranks is this little rig right here. Now, from a brand that is well renowned, obviously it's the association with the royal family. Well, they have the money to blow and squander like it's going out of style. You and I don't. So that's part of the reason why these vehicles are very difficult to own. Beautiful headlights, projector style. They have always alloy wheels that are beautiful to look at. Nice detail along the side, fold away mirrors, and a beautiful oversized panoramic glass on top, circles around to the back, and you are exposing yourself to this beautiful long hauler luxury vehicle right here. This car is long, large, and in charge, and we're looking at the XJL by Jaguar, and this has the 3-liter supercharged V6. Gorgeous interior, beautiful fit and finish. Look at that shifter knob that actually comes out of the console. That's a failure waiting to happen. I personally think this is one of the most beautiful luxury sedans on the market today in this segment. The downside is, because it's Jaguar, it has some of its issues issues, electric problems, body fitment panels that don't fit quite right, paint issues, transmission related troubles, and of course coolant leaks. Lots of nickel and dime issues, oil consumption, fuel injector pump, lots of problems there throughout. The big problem with owning this car though isn't all the nickel and dime items and the expensive repairs and the high dollar service and maintenance. It's also the fact that you're going to subject yourself to a serious, significant depreciation on that vehicle's price. In 3 short years, you would expect that vehicle to only be worth about 30%, 35% of its original value. Get that out to 10 years, it's worth very, very little. And that's what hurts the most, is owning these vehicles. So either decide to buy one slightly used on a certified pre-owned, or you don't buy one at all. Another one on the list that probably vehicles you shouldn't own, they're kind of junky. I mean, clearly we're talking about a Fiat. Look, trim that's falling off, headlights that are fading out. The vehicle looks like it's definitely been rode hard, put away wet. We do have these cute little wheels, and you can see the 500 designation. The interior is falling apart. Look at the leather around the shift knob, all just drab. The seats don't hold up all that well either. Peel away chrome handles and a back end that is enough to scream, ouch, that hurts. Look, we have a rusted out tailpipe here. We've got trim that's fallen apart, rusty body panels. Of course, you've got these cute little accents and details there. Some models are better than others. Definitely the manual's the way to go, but that's part of the issue. Pressure plate can create shifting problems where you can't get it engaged. That is a common known issue for these things. Rough ride, jerky, clunky suspension that makes noise, brakes that aren't holding up all that well, and the interior fit and finish, as I showed you already, worn out really quickly, and unfortunately there's creaks and rattles and squeaks, and the reliability overall isn't the greatest on these vehicles. While there's worse vehicles out there, absolutely, this vehicle does not hold up all that well. If you're looking for something fresh and Italian, this might be your game, but honestly, it's not holding up all that well. I know people who own these, and it spends more time in the shop than it was clearly worth to do. So here is one. The Fiat 500 is one I would definitely recommend not. Here's the next one on the list of one of the hardest depreciating cars on the market today. No big shocker. According to JD Powers and Consumers Reports, Mercedes-Benz is ranking one of the lowest in terms of overall reliability in recent years. But this specific model here is one that's really going to eat your lunch. As we look at this, it's a beautiful unit, and it's a great attempt at electrification. Obviously by Mercedes, the three-pointed star, they have all the technology you can possibly dream of. You have beautiful, obviously alloy wheels, laser cut. This is the EQE, but it's EQS that's even worse. Gorgeous finishing inside, second to really none. Definitely an acquired taste. You do have large glass on top and some neat touches, different headlights, and look at that flat plastic on the front. It definitely makes it stand out as a little bit different and more unique. The EQ series of Benzes have been challenging. They're not selling that hot. I looked at ones that were about a year old already, and they've lost about 40% of their value in the first year. That's right, you can't get yourself a 1-year-old car with 20, 30,000 kilometers for even close to what they were new. In other words, you can get great deals on the used car market. Some of that is, again, the reputation of the Benz and the reliability. Some of it, there were some recalls, some sudden loss of power here with these things, and some, of course, clearly some challenges with some of the technology, as there's a lot going on in these vehicles. This is one of those that definitely I would wait for a while to understand that they've got all the bugs worked out and make sure that the charging network and the range of these modern day Mercedes EQ and EQS vehicles are good for the long haul. Right now, definitely one that I would skip. There's quite a few problems, and reliability is a real challenge. The next junk car that you want to avoid is this rig right here. Yeah, it has a whole host of problems, and it looks pretty. It definitely is another rental car special. You find lots of these in Palm Springs, in California. You find a lot of these all over, clearly in Las Vegas. Pick these up at the airport by the dozen. But we're looking at a car here that isn't short on problems and troubles. Clearly, we're talking about a Chrysler, which is no shock. The Stellantis group of products definitely has its share of issues. Basic set of headlights. Yeah, they do have beautiful alloy wheels, but look, they don't hold up that well. The paint just starts to chip away all the way along the rocker panels, and you do get a little bit of a sunroof, which is kind of fancy. Does even come in all-wheel drive format, which is good when you hit the snow and icy conditions, but we're talking about the 200S right here. This is not a great vehicle with electrical troubles. We have the TIPM, of course, as well as a big one. That's a totally integrated power module that controls all your lights and electrical controls, and those are known to fail, like a lot of the other products, the Rams and the Jeeps, and they're thousands of dollars to repair. not an uncommon failure. We also talk about weak engines. The 2.4 liter Tiger Shark is an oil burner 9000. It introduces so many CO little counts into the oxygen and atmosphere that it literally adds pollution as it even sits there not idling. Just kidding. It also has that 9-speed automatic transmission that is rough and a little bit jerky. ZF, it definitely does have great bones, but in practice it doesn't work all that well. So it's a great car from the outside looking in. Own that, you'll grossly regret it, and I would suggest stay far away from the 200S or C that you can. Next one on my list, I definitely wouldn't recommend. I'd consider them fairly junky. It's a Dodge Charger, late generation as we're looking right here. Yeah, they look kind of spicy, and a lot of people love them for just the general muscular look. But realistically, unless you're buying the Hellcat or the Demon or one of those upscale supercharged V8 that put down 700-800 horsepower, there's really no point in buying these, especially in those smaller engines, the V6s and so on. I mean, for some reason, people seem to like these, whether it's the big vent on the top or whether it's the muscular chin spoiler, whether it's even the cool looking headlights and the newest theme. As we cycle down the side, yeah, they're finally putting a little nicer mirrors on there, but the handles are still fairly cheap, and the interior looks like they're wrapped in Glad garbage bag and 1970s velvet that you find in those camper vans. Square fenders look very basic, like they were folded on a machine press right there, and you have a cute little wing on the back that a lot of people love. Yes, you have a very retro look in this Dodge, as you can see right here, very unique and stylish, and they do give you a nice set of wheels to add on, but honestly not great vehicles. Here, let me run down some of the key issues you're going to expect with these, not to mention that the value dives off the diving board on the deep end of the biggest swimming pool you can imagine. This is clearly Dodge it. Faulty transmission, some people say it slips and then goes, or it just jerks and bucks. Hard shifting is also part of that. Faulty thermostat, that's what regulates the temperature of the vehicle, so it allows more fluid away from the engine and through the radiators, or vice versa, and allows the regulation of the temperature of the coolant. Faulty window regulators as well, and they just tend not to work sometimes. And electrical issues throughout the whole system that cause multitude of other failures. Faulty alternator, and as the alternator stops working, it stops recharging the system, hence kills the battery, and then all the other electrics start going out. We also can't forget about that infamous faulty oil filter bypass valve. Yeah, you'll cause problems with your oil pressure in that system. And a bad camshaft. The camshafts, what also regulates the valves and allows the timing of the fuel and the exhaust in and out of the engine. Faulty head gaskets, another problem. We could burn up coolant or mix coolant and engine oil. Bad scene. A false brake warning alert. Squeaky as you turn full lock, you can get a squeaking in the front end. And a general ticking noise in the engine. That's been noted by a lot of sad customers of these drivetrains. The bottom line is a lot of vehicles can sustain similar failures over time. But these are common issues that happen far too regularly, and clearly the quality control isn't exactly where it should be. Now, granted, a lot of these parts aren't huge dollars to fix, but some of them can be. And the more time you spend in the shop, the more means that you're spending more of that hard-earned dollars on the shop fees. That's where they really get you. Not to mention depreciation and the value goes away in a short order. Definitely the Dodge Charger is one to avoid unless you happen to need that Hellcat. And here's another one. Everybody knows this brand here is notorious for aggressive depreciation, particularly when you step into the larger full-scale vehicles like we're looking at right here. This one's so large, I have to take a step back because it takes up so much of the screen. This vehicle is a behemoth. They're great, they're very luxurious, but unfortunately, vehicles like this often go the way of the dodo bird once they hit the used car market. So what I would suggest is if you need to have it, you're going to be that person, a doctor, a lawyer, you're going to buy it. Remember, it is everything that BMW puts into their products. The downside is the complexity and what you get in their technology is going to ensure that once this vehicle's warranties run out, you may be in a world of hurt. Clearly, this is a newer generation with the big grills and the beautiful little skinny headlights, different style of wheels, and of course you can see this is a plug-in. And the interior is absolutely spectacular and comfort on wheels. Take a look around here. You have these great new LED tail lights. This is an X-Drive all-wheel drive. Look at the big blue, and that means the blue is a 750E. It does sit on its rump right there. As you can see, you've got extra complexity on systems that allow the vehicle to self-level, and those have always been a problem area for vehicles equipped with such technology. So it's a beautiful car, the latest and the greatest in technology and performance, and here's BMW's electrical approach to that. But the sad reality is, if you're going to buy this, you will take an absolute beat down on depreciation. The BMW 7 Series. And there's another one that definitely meets the crap list. What are we looking at here? Well, this is a bit of a Mirage, or maybe it's a little bit of a gas pain, I don't know. But either way, it is what it is. This car here is a little Mitsubishi junk box, clearly very small, and some people just need an economical means to get to work. But let's talk about some of the reasons I think this car deserves to be on the list, and ones that you definitely don't want to buy. Right there we have a Mitsubishi. Look at the fancy grille, basic headlights. Of course, that makes things easy and cheap to fix. Of course, they have some great cute touches on the front with all this peel away chrome, and of course, look, little fenders, little hood, because there's a small little engine under that hood. As we cycle here, basic mirrors, pretty simple, similar to a Nissan. Looks almost the same right there. And there we go. As you look inside, a very basic Spartan interior, but you'll notice a manual gearbox, which is the way you probably want to outfit this car. You'll also notice that overhang, very similar to an SUV, but this is just a basic little car. The problem with this car isn't that it's cheap. The problem isn't that it isn't the best looking car on the road. The problem is there's a lot of issues. For example, airbags that don't deploy. The manual gearbox in these cars sometimes don't operate properly. They don't shift very well. Braking systems were a huge issue, and they get pricey in these cars. But one thing I have to mention that's really big on this vehicle, I mean, look at the fit and finish right here. This isn't very good. Doors that are literally known to fall off, or they need to be replaced. They don't stay on there very well. You're likely facing poor quality control, fit and finish related issues, and the fact that it's just a poorly made vehicle. Yeah, it was cheap to begin with, but you're definitely not going to enjoy your ownership experience. But one specific year you want to stay away from is 2015, and if you're looking to actually buy and you really do believe you need one of these, 2002, 2018, and 2019 are the best model years of this car if you feel you actually need one.
Bad crankshaft sensors that prevent the vehicle from starting. Transmissions that are lurchy, jumpy, slip, and don't work very well, and they outright fail on many occasions. Fit and finish is wide enough to stuff your whole hand in there.
Are just a few of the issues that you'll find with the Nissan Altima. It's not exactly the ultimate in vehicle. As a matter of fact, many would suggest that this is the most unreliable Nissan product that you can currently get today. Yeah, it's not the best built. It's a cute looking vehicle. They've nicely restyled it, but the older generation Altimas weren't great, and the new ones are almost even worse.
Here we have a Platinum that's all-wheel drive, so people love those in the Altima.
The interior is reasonably built, but still lacks a little luster. But quite frankly, if you need a Nissan, this is probably one I'd stay away from. As a matter of fact, if you need a sedan like this, personally, I'd say go with the Toyota Camry, possibly even step up to a Lexus, or go with the Honda Accord. Be careful, that 1.5 can sting you too, but generally, I would go with one of their competitors. The Nissan Altima is not one for the win. Now with all of that said, right there, check that list. 10 of the worst SUVs to avoid because they will cost you big time. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.